assemble something, what you want to do is you want to make some new file, and you're going to choose assembly. And you can see here on the left, here are the things that you can put into your model. When you're making an assembly, what you want to start with is the main part, or the anchor part that is going to be fixed, and everything else is going to connect to it. The first part that you put will automatically be fixed wherever you place it. Generally, the first thing we want to put it on the origin. That way we can have default planes that we can use, and it will become convenient for us to mate or to connect other components to the main components. So I'm going to click on browse over here, and I'm going to say that our main body, click on that, is going to be our anchor component. I'm not going to click here. If I click here, it's going to be placed anyhow, anywhere on the model. I don't know where the origin is at the moment. But if I click on OK, the green tick over here, SolidWorks is going to automatically place it on the origin, and it's going to fix it. Now I can't move it. It says here the selected component is fixed. It cannot be moved. So now all of my components are going to connect to it. There are a few ways to insert components. We can click on insert components and choose the component we want. Say I want to add a cap. I'm going to click on cap, and you can see I can place it anywhere I like. So this one, instead of clicking OK, I'm just going to place it somewhere on the model. I could do the same for the next cap. So I could place it somewhere around here. So that's putting things in one by one. The other way is if I go to browse and I hold Control, I can select multiple components. If I do that, you can see here in the window, I've got two components active. If I click one, it will place the first component, and if I click again, it will place the second component. Cycle through the objects that I chose. The other way is if I say I want to put the spur gear, and now I want to put multiple spur gears. I don't have to click open over and over again. If I click on the pin, then I can place multiple pieces of the same. You can ignore that dialog box over there. That one's just complaining about the license was educational for these components. So it won't appear for you, or it shouldn't appear for you. So now we've got these components here ready to move. Generally, before we want to start mating, it's best to rotate things and place things sort of where they are supposed to be. That will just make things easier for SolidWorks and for yourself. So if you left click on an object, you can drag it around without rotating. If you right click and hold, you are going to rotate it just like how you would rotate with the middle mouse button. So generally a good idea is to just choose two planes and put everything kind of in where you want it to be. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's roughly where you need things to be. So we're just going to place all these components here. But if we check from the side, probably, yeah, things need to be shifted a little bit more. So I'm just going to do that. Later on, when we mate things, then we will be able to put things properly where they are meant to be. So let's start mating things. Let's say I want to put the gears in first. Mating in SolidWorks is really easy. You just click on mate, and you choose locations or faces or edges which will be touching. That would be the easiest way to think about it. If I were to say this gear goes into the housing here, then this cylinder would definitely be concentric to this cylinder. And you can see it joins up the two for me automatically. Then I might say that this face will be touching this face, and you'll join that for me automatically. I'm going to do the same for the bottom gear. Here and here. And there you have the spur gear in place. Now say maybe I want to put this shaft. So this shaft definitely is concentric with, I'm just going to put it here. They're all going to be concentric, so that's fine. And this one's going to be concentric with here. and we just start putting things together. Let's say I want to add the cap, so I'll say this is touching this face over here, and then I would say maybe this is touching this. The bottom probably is not aligned, so you have to align that too. We can either choose these two small holes, or I could even say that this and this are concentric. So you just need a little bit of thinking to kind of figure out where and what you can apply constraints to. For example, I want to put this shaft in, I might have to move things around, or like we were doing just now, we could hide things using the tab button, or right clicking and choosing hide. I could say maybe I'm going to mate here to here inside, and then here to here. Don't worry about that, that's a visual bug. Okay, then let's end by putting the cap in. Well, before we do that, let's talk about the gears. Now this isn't necessary, this is an advanced mate. You can see these gears are not currently touching. What we can do is we can tell SolidWorks, can you make these two spin as if they were a set of gears? And now you would do this for reasons, maybe you want to analyze the system, but if all you are interested in is creating drawings, this isn't necessary. But I'm just going to tell you just so you know. Maybe we will just make sure everything is aligned, maybe move it a bit closer so that looks a bit more realistic. Then I'm going to do a mate, and instead of your standard mates, I'm going to go for mechanical. There are others, there are advanced mates, mechanical mates, they do different things. In this case here, we're interested in the gear mating. I'm just going to choose two of these cylinders, and they have chosen for me ratio of 10 to 10. That's fine, not too important as long as the ratio is correct. In this case here, the two spur gears are the same size, so the ratio is 1 to 1. Now click OK, confirm that, and now they spin as expected. We can add one more mate that will make this shaft connected to this gear. So I'm going to do a mate, and I'm going to open up our feature tree, and I'm going to say that this shaft's right plane and this spur gear's right plane, or whichever plane happens to be aligned, I'm going to ask SolidWorks to make them coincident. So now when I spin the shaft, it spins the gear as well. And like I mentioned just now, this is not necessary, but just something that's fun to do. It will make your model look react a bit more realistically, but it doesn't affect the final 2D drawings. Anyway, let's finish off this mate and say later on that we are going to make an explode. An exploded view is when we take the assembly and spread it apart so that a reader of your drawing knows where everything is supposed to go. So an exploded view is created over here. I'm going to create an exploded view, and then we're going to choose component by component. We're going to move it step by step. They're quite picky about this, so we have to go step by step. I'm going to click on, say, the shaft first. Then we will see these arrows for us to drag and pull the component where we want it to go. Once it's in the location we want it to be in, we're going to click on done, and then we're going to click on the next component. I'm going to move that too. Once it's where you want it to be, click done. If I select multiple components at once, then I can move them in the same step. Then maybe this one, I can drag it out here, and this is my exploded view. Once I'm okay with everything, click OK, and now this is my exploded view. If I want to switch between them, I can go to my configuration manager over here, open up the default configuration, and I can either collapse the exploded view or explode the exploded view.